True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been, and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease has sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and in earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken, and observe how healthily, how calmly, I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object, there was none. Passion, there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put first in a dark lantern, so that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. And this I did for 7 long nights. But I found the eye always closed. For it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. His room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, and so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept on pushing it, steadily, steadily. I had got my head in and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out,
"Who's there?"
For another hour I did not move a muscle. He was still sitting up in the bed, listening. When I waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing the old man lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. I grew furious as I gazed upon it. There came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound. It was the beating of the old man's heart. I refrained and kept still, but the beating grew louder, louder. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then sat upon the bed and smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. The old man was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out. A tub had caught all. Ha ha. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity, as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I bade them search. The officers were satisfied, but ere long I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. At length, I found that the noise was not within my ears. It was a low, dull, quick sound. I talked more quickly, but the noise steadily increased. I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, but the noise steadily increased. It grew louder, louder, louder. They heard, they suspected, they knew. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. "Villains!" I shrieked. "Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here, here! It is the beating of this hideous heart."